Thanks for attending coaches meeting. It'll have a bit of everything in about the event, registration, a bit on rules. It's not heavily on rules. It's just a brief update on the rules at the end. So let's start. Are you ready?
Yep.
Joe? Right then, so registration on Friday will open at 12 o'clock. You get entry to registration down the left-hand side of the building like we did last year, and you're coming through the side doors. Coaches and welfare officers need to photo ID to collect their accreditation for weigh-in. You'll get a different band for weigh-in, and to get that coloured band for the weigh-in, you'll need to show ID, and you'll also need to show ID in the weigh-in so we can check on the list that you are who you say you are. So if athletes are attending without a coach, they'll be able to get their accreditation on the registration desk as they did last time. And registration on Saturday will be in the main entrance of the building as you come through the door. So weigh-in on Friday, it's 12 till 8. And if those had not been last year, if they don't know where it is, it's around the back of the running track. There'll be 2 weighing stations per gender. And also be 2 enclosed sets of test scales, and there will be round the side where the weighing is. So they'll be in 2 gazebos. So there'll be no tests that'll be permitted in the official weigh-in. You can only do the tests on the test scales. On Saturday, weigh-in is 1 mile 5. This will be located in the right-hand side reception. So as you come through the main doors where the stairs are, so you can go upstairs, turn right, and there's a male and female changing rooms just there. That's where weigh-in will be. And there'll be a set of test scales directly opposite in a room, which has got a lockable door, so you'll be able to go and get weighed and lock your door so you know nobody's coming in. And there'll be 1 weighing station per gender. So when you're looking at weighing, athletes must be accompanied by somebody, whether it's a coach, a safeguarding officer, parent, or guardian. All athletes must have photo ID, which includes a date of birth. So we will accept, because I know a lot of parents don't like giving kids passports, if there's a photograph of the passport on the phone, we will accept that. And when we're thinking about passports, it doesn't have to be one that's valid. It can be a passport that's expired, because some people have maybe not renewed them through COVID because they've not been away. So you've got bus passes, your card that you get on your Cookie One Dance certificate, driving licenses, the hub page, and a gal. So with the hub page, there must be a photograph on there when you print it off to match the name. There will be safeguarding officers available on both male and females for under 18s if they've got nobody with them as a company and adult. So to try and reduce the weighing lines, we took on board your feedback from last year, and we've made sure that there's safeguarding officers there to be able to take the athletes in if they're coming unaccompanied, like they're coming without the coach or a parent because we're all traveling together. So if you've got somebody that's there without anybody, if you see one of the safeguarding officers who will be around weigh-in, they'll get somebody to be able to sort you out and take you in. Coach, like I said earlier, they must have the bands on, and they must show their ID when they're going to weigh-in. If you've got no band or no ID, you'll not be permitted into weigh-in if you're saying you're a coach or a safeguarding officer. If parents and children are accompanying, they're done on an individual basis. So no other adults or children will be permitted while the child's in a state of undress. So if they've got any siblings, we'd probably say wait outside just while we've got these done, unless it's a young baby in a pram, obviously. So we've just got them so we can get them in and out as quickly as possible. So with athletes, you've got to wear your undergarments if you're under 18, so that you've got 100 grams allowance. Females, they can either wear a vest, sports bra, tank top, bra, or even a bikini. It does the same thing as knickers and bra to weigh in. Athletes will not be permitted to weigh in if they've not got the correct stuff on. So if they come in, they've got no vest on. If they're a female, they'll be sent out. They won't be able to get weighed in, and they're going to have to join back at weighing line to come and weigh in again. So it's really important that you make sure that they've all got the correct underwear on when they're coming into weigh-in. If you've got an athlete who's competing in seniors, they don't have an underwear allowance. So if you've got a 17-year-old who's doing both seniors and juniors, they've still got to weigh in their underwear, because seniors don't get the 100-gram allowance. So you've still got to weigh in with your underwear on, but you're not getting the allowance. Nails, they'll be checked in weigh-in, so there'll be clippers available so you can clip your nails. Athletes must have the correct length before they leave the weigh-in station. So the weigh-in tolerances, so you can go away and get a second weigh-in. For peewees and children, it's 0.2, cadets it's 0.3, juniors 0.5, seniors and veterans 0.7. So there's just a couple of examples there, who would get a second weigh-in and who wouldn't. So when you're thinking about this also will include their 100 grams allowance. So if you're looking at -24, they got to weigh in and they weighed 24.3, they would be able to come back for a second weigh-in, because that 0.3, I know it's 0.2, but we've got to include the 100-gram allowance as well. So there's just some examples there. If you're coming back for a second weigh-in, athletes must rejoin the line 15 minutes before the end of weigh-in, just in case they've got to do any weight changes and got to make the payment to do the change. Anybody that don't come back, end of weigh-in will be withdrawn and there'll be no exceptions made. So random weigh-in. There'll be a random weigh-in for the advanced day for cadets and above. We won't be, that'll exclude plus weights because we don't do them in random weigh-in. So there are the numbers that you would get. So if you've got over 32 in your weight, it'll be 20% of those athletes that get called for that weight division. Between 4 and 8, it's 2. And if you've got less than 4 in your weight division, you won't get selected for random weigh-in. So your tolerance for your random weigh-in is 5%. So it's plus the underwear allowance as well. So if you look at, there's some examples underneath. So 5% of a 37 is 1.85. Then you've got your 100-gram allowance. So you can see the ones that would pass and the ones that would fail. If you fail random weigh-in, you're disqualified. So it is making sure that they understand that the advanced players could be called for random weigh-in on Saturday morning. So random weigh-in, we're going to publicise it on, it'll go on MA Reg, it'll go on British Taekwondo Facebook, it'll go on British Taekwondo website, and we'll also put it on the sports referee Facebook page. It'll be no later than 2 hours before random weigh-in commences. Random weigh-in will start at 8:15 and it'll be for half an hour. And like I said earlier, there is no second attempt at random weigh-in. If athletes don't attend or fail, they'll be disqualified. So please make sure you explain this to parents so they understand the process, because it'll make it easier for you when we say that if we have to disqualify them, that they understand the reason why. Originally, we was going to do it for novices as well, but there's been an issue with paperwork, so we're not. So it is only advanced that we are doing it on. So when we're thinking of match management, there'll be 2 screens within the fight area on the front of the courts where the sandpit side is, so spectators can see what next match is coming up so they can prepare the children. On courts, they'll have the A4 flip folders so that you can see what match number they're on while the match is playing. There'll also be additional screens in the field of play, because last year we found that coaches, when you were in field of play with your players, you didn't know which fight was on which court next. So we're going to put screens in the middle so you can just see what fights are on next. So you're not having to run around into checking or anything just to check. IVR, you got IVR on both novice and advanced days. There'll be 2 cameras per court. And as normal with IVR, you'll have 1 quota per match. The IVR will only be reviewed by international referees and selected national referees, because we want to make sure that we maintain the consistency throughout the event. So you won't get none of the inexperienced referees doing IVR. It will only be experienced ones that do it. If you want to put in official protest, that'll be available on the day. It must be submitted within 30 minutes of the match ending. Following your submission of your paperwork, there's a non-refundable fee of £200. The competition supervisory board will convene, they'll review it, and they will give feedback on the outcome once it's been reviewed. So round times on advanced day, Pee-wees, cadets, juniors and veterans will all be 3 1.5 minute rounds with 1 minute break. Seniors, they'll get 3 2-minute rounds with 1 minute break. All these will have 12-point gap, excluding your senior finals and semi-finals as per WT guidelines. So there'll be no point gap in those. On your novice day, everybody will be 3 1.5 minutes with a minute break. All these matches will have a 12-point gap throughout. So there'll only be accredited coaches, officials like medical staff, BT appointed volunteers and safeguarding will be in field of play. Assistant coaches, club managers, club volunteers, club welfare officer teams will not be permitted into the field of play. We want to try and keep that as clear as we can, so we've got as coaches in there as athletes and try and reduce what we've got. If you've got more than one athlete on court, you'll be expected to find another coach to support you, and they can come, you can swap over at the end of a round or beginning of the next, so you'll be able to swap coaches then. We're not waiting for any coaches or athletes on your court. It's your responsibility as a coach to ensure that your athletes have gone through check-in and they're sat in holding area ready to go on court. Involve your parents as volunteers to make sure that you've got those players ready. Athletes and coach will be given a minute. If they're not on court, when your match is ready to go, then the athlete will be disqualified. There's over 200 that have gone through audit, coaches. So there'll be somebody there that you can ask to support you if you've got more than one athlete on court at the same time. Put a plan in place now. Ask other coaches before the event if they are able to support, if you know you've not got many coaches. So it'll be only approved WT equipment. This link has been shared on WT website for a while, so you should have all had a chance to familiarise yourself with what kit. Obviously, it's PSS, so body armours and head guards provided. Your socks would be Dado socks anyway, because they're the only ones that link with the system. But when you're looking at all the other stuff, make sure your arm guards, leg guards, groin guards, everything, it fits in with the approved equipment. So just some examples of approved equipment. If you're looking at ranged stuff, the only thing that is permitted is the uniforms and gum shields. So your gum shields must be white or transparent. There's a couple of examples there. So any black ones or any coloured ones won't be permitted. And if you've got braces on your top and bottom, it must be a clear double one if you've got double braces. So the coloured ones, we only allowed them in just after COVID, when dentists couldn't get no clear gum shield molds, whereas now should be plenty in stock, so there should be nobody coming with coloured ones. If you do, you'll be told to go away and change it. You'll not get through inspection. So hand protectors, what we've seen at the last couple of events, a mate called Finger 10 Taekwondo. They're not WT approved. They will not be able to be passed. I put an example there of the WT ones. So anybody that comes through with any that are not WT approved, they won't get through checking. It must come from the approved list. So a bit more additional information. Access to area for spectators will be 8:15, so you'll be able to get through doors then. Coaches' bands will need to be collected each morning. Reminder on your weight change fee, that's £20, and that's got to be done by card. So what you'll do is, when you pay your weight change, they'll give you a receipt. The athlete takes that back into the weigh-in, and then the weight changes will be done in the weigh-in. They'll amend your weight and give you your card. Range is hosting a stall this year. The cafe will be open for refreshments during day. The venue is in walking distance from Centertainment, which has got plenty of places to eat if you want to step out somewhere different. Vending machines in venue will accept cards and cash payments. The car park will be £5 a day. This will be cash. And what we've done is we've made sure that the overflow car parks and the main one are going to be open at the same time, because last year we knew that we had a bit of a bottleneck and athletes and spectators couldn't get in because they were queuing for car park. So we're making sure that all car parks are open. And the matches will start around 9:30. So rules, we're going to be doing rules that we've done at the last so many events. So you've got your passivity one, your fight, it's 3 seconds, then it'll be gunyok, then another 3 seconds. If they've not done nothing, if they're inactive, either one of them or both of them will get a gamjung. In the clinch, if you kick into back at head, your points will be invalidated and you'll get a gamjung. Pushing is a short, sharp push. Continuous pushing is a gamjung. Kicking 3 times, the foot must touch the floor. On the 4th kick, a gamjung will be given and the points will be invalidated if it scores. And falling over, if there's a spin, you'll get a gamjung if you fall over. If it scores, your gamjung will be invalidated. If it doesn't score, then your gamjung will sit there. So yellow cards, we've had last event, we had 6 yellow cards. There were 5 what were issued, dealt with on the day. And those athletes are now being monitored just to check if their behaviour continues. Then it might be looking at a sanction to be in place if they did continue to get more yellow cards. A lot of it was swearing, chuntering under the breath while they're on court. There were one for punching in face. Various things you get yellow card for. The 6th one were a coach, misconduct toward a referee. We're not going to tolerate that. That happened at Premier as well. That coach has got a ban in place for 6 months, so he'll not be at Nationals. All yellow cards are discussed with CSB, and if we recommend a sanction, BT must agree that sanction as well. We can't sit there and just say, right, okay, we're going to do this with this sanction and we're going to ban them. It has to go to BT and they go through it as well, and they have to approve that a sanction will be agreed as well, so it's not just us. We put yellow cards out there to educate. Like I said, most of them are dealt with on day, and it's just maybe a conversation that you have with the coach and the player, why it's been given, and it's not acceptable. But there are ones that need to be actioned, and these tend to be the ones for misconduct towards a referee. As coaches, you all want to be treated with respect. The referees expect that too. It's a two-way street. We're trying to change everything now and make sure that everybody gets respect.
Maybe it'd be a good idea for us coaches to have yellow cards as well.
I've thought about that as well, to be honest.
I don't disagree with you, Paul.
Sorry?
I said I don't disagree with you.
No.
I think it should be a two-way street.
I do, but we'll see if that ever comes in the rules. So if you're playing your card, by the way, your IVR, make sure you are clear on what you're asking the referee. The referees will repeat back to you what you've asked for, so you know what it is they're going to ask. Because I know at times there has been confusion where people have asked something and it's not been, the referee's either not understood or it's not been said correctly. So it will be, if you ask for something, the referees will be repeating it back to you, so you know that's what they're going to ask when they go up and ask for the IVR.
Sorry, Claire, can I ask a question, or are you taking questions at the end?
Well, slide's finished, so it's end.
Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Sorry, yeah. Now I just wanted to ask, for example, if a coach has lost their card and, for example, my player has punched to the body and, you know, say the player's gone down, the opponent's gone down, but the referee might have thought it's a gamjon, it was a punch to the face. Are we allowed as coaches to request the referee to play their IVR card?
Not if it's a punch to the face, but when it's IVR, you can challenge anything that's happened to your player. Any gamjon that's given to your player, you can play your card and ask for it to be invalidated.
Yeah, but for example, if I've lost my card and, you know, say they've punched a little bit, say towards their chest, but it hasn't punched their face. They've punched the chest, but the referee might have said it's a gamjon, they punched to the face. We've lost our cards. Can we request, instead of getting disqualified through the gamjon and the player not being able to carry on, can we request the referee to play their IVR card to double check?
No, if you've not got your quota as a coach, you can't.
Okay, but the referee can choose to do that if they wanted to do it.
If the referee chooses to do that, there are some referees, if you're unsure, you would play your card and ask. Okay. But it's one of those things that as a coach, you can't if you've lost your quota.
Okay.
Has anybody else got a question that's not in chat?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, no, it's all right. Just as a new assistant coach, it's my first time at the Nationals. So I've been to the Burnley ones, but I was just wondering, do we have to wear anything, or are we just okay with what we wear? And then also, go on, sorry.
No, continue, and then I'll answer that at the end.
Yeah, and then also, do we have to provide any proof or anything as being an assistant coach? It's just as long as we're on WTF as accredited on there, that's fine, is it?
So you'll go through audit if as a coach. You will have to provide photo ID to say that you are who you say they are. So
okay, cool.
as long as you've gone through the audit and you pass the audit, then you'll be fine. In regards to clothing, it'll be full sportswear, so there'll be no tracksuit bottoms. It's got to be full tracksuits. Sorry, no shorts. It's got to be full tracksuits. No sliders. You must be trainers, and also no hats when you are sat on court.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
I just need clarification, really. Where do we stand now on leggings for girls under their dough box? Is it acceptable or not acceptable?
Don't really see why would it not be acceptable. It depends what they're wearing them for, really. As long as we can see that there's nothing underneath them.
Yeah, I'm talking about underneath their dough box now. On a few occasions, I've been pulled to one side and told this is not allowed. And then there's other competitions where there has been allowed. So I'm just want clarification. I have a few Muslims, girls who wear leggings under their dough box.
We respect that. It's part of the religion. So I don't see a problem with them wearing leggings. As long as
I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
I don't. It's just that I've been pulled aside on more than one occasion by officials complaining that these girls are wearing leggings and they've got to take them off.
No, they'll be fine to wear leggings underneath the dough box.
Yep.
And
that's all I needed was clarification.
Yeah, as long as we can prove that there's no, you know what I mean, we can see if there's nothing under there, it should be okay.
Mm.
Can I ask a question about the IVR, please?
Go on then.
The query that I have is that will it be utilized for novices as well as advanced?
Yes, you've got IVR on both days.
Okay, great, thanks. Can I ask another question? I've just got a couple, if that's okay. I want to ask who the technical delegate would be for the day.
It's Paul Timms.
Okay, and just clarifying what his role would exactly be then.
There's TD. TD's there to make sure that the event runs smoothly. The TD is the only one that can make any changes to the event once the event's running. So when it comes down, if there's any protests or anything like that, the TD will be on the CSB panel. So they're there to, over me, to make sure that if there's any issues, they'll step in and they'll deal with them.
Okay, great, thanks. So I'll presume that Paul won't be refereeing on the day then?
No, he's not.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that.
There was did I see something come up in the chat boxes in regards to questions? I can't see chat box on mine.
Yeah, there's 4 questions in the chat. I'll read them out for you.
Go on then.
Do you know who is on the CSB for the event at the moment?
No, the CSB will be appointed on the day.
Is the protest fee refunded if the appeal is successful?
If it was successful, it's a non-refundable one. But if it was successful, I think it'd be up to the TD to make that decision.
Can your players wear sports goggles?
No. What do you mean by sports goggles?
The question states, can your player wear sports goggles?
Right, I'm assuming then they mean the glasses, the goggles, and they have prescription lenses in. I'm assuming they've not been approved by WT that they are safe to wear during a match, so they won't be able to wear them.
I think they are approved by WT because I'm pretty sure at the Spanish Open, player contestants were wearing them then.
And no, that was on mine court at the Spanish Open day. The player had got away with it on another court where the head of court was, shall we say, slightly older than me. WT haven't approved sport goggles yet, and certainly not the ones that boy was wearing, because if he'd got kicked in them, they would have broken, and somebody, either a foot would have been a mess or a face would have been a mess.
Can I ask a question regarding referees, please, just quickly? I know we've got international referees flying in. Have they been provided with the same training that our British Taekwondo referees have, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page?
Yeah, and there will be a briefing the morning for all referees anyway on the Saturday morning. And a lot of them have all done the update, so they all know the rules.
Thanks.
Will we be applying the new rule being used at G1s where referees can use their own IVR card in the last 5 seconds?
No, we've not fetched that in yet.
Do you have any further info about the novices weighing in on Friday?
All novices, anybody can weigh in on Friday. So it was going to be that they weighed in, only Saturday ones weighed in on Friday and the Sunday ones weighed in on Saturday. But no, everybody can weigh in on a Friday as well. And then there's just one on the Saturday afternoon.
Can I just ask a quick question? What time does the weigh-in stop on Friday? Because we're coming over from the Isle of Man.
8 o'clock.
8. Okay, cool. Thank you.
No worries.
We have someone in a weight division and all athletes have moved up. Will they be allowed to move up with no weight fee amendment?
No, it's a weight change. There'll still be a fee in place like there is at any other event that we have. And we don't know if somebody might move into that weight division. You don't know what's going to happen through weighing for any other weight changes.
Robert, if your player weighs in and they weigh in for that correctly for that weight category, they won't have a weight change fee to pay.
So that's the lightest weight category. If they weigh up, they won't be paying a fee, or they will need to pay a fee.
If they don't weigh, if they registered for say 37s and they weigh in under 37, they are fine. Even if there's nobody else in their weight category, they don't pay to move. If they weigh in over 37, then yes, there is a weight amendment fee.
Okay, so if they're a single person in the division, they don't have a fight on the day.
Claire, your chief referee.
Yeah, no, that's it. There's no weights being merged.
Right.
So it is one of those things that it'll just be they'll be given the medal.
Right. No opportunity to move up. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know. Okay.
Hi Claire, it's Rick here. Just got a quick question regarding the goggles. So one of our parents in our club kind of pushed back on me because I'd said, no, you can't wear the sports goggles. But they sent me the BT health and safety policy, and in section 10, it says that you can wear them for sparring.
Right, I'll pick that up with Tom, because it's a very fine line, because if they're not done in the correct material, then like I said, they're going to put, it's going to be against the athlete and the opponent that's putting them at risk. So I'll pick that up with Tom, but from my stance, it's a no, because we have had no clarification from WT in anything in regards to using them. But I will pick that up with Tom, and I will come back to you and let you know.
Yeah, no worries. I'll wing the documents to you on an email or something, just so you put as a reference.
Yeah, that's fine. And then I can pick that up with Tom. That's not a problem. Then what I'll do is I'll email you and let you know.
Cool. Thanks, Claire.
Thanks for that. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Another question from the chat. Test of the PSS at the start of the match, and when will the ref deem the system needs to be changed if the system is not accurately working? How many hits of the test will be deemed as needed of change?
Well, if it's a test of the kit, there should be no more than 2 hits to that, whatever it is, because the only time you'd potentially have more than 1 hit is if the contestant, the opponent's not kicking right. If they've not got the correct shape on the foot when they're kicking, then you'd tell them to kick again. But as a rule of thumb, after 2, you'd know whether it's not working or not, because you say 2 because you check both sides. Because like I say, it could be the athlete's foot protectors and the angle of how they're kicking, not necessarily the kit. But if the kit is not working, it will be changed straight away, because we want to get matches moving, so it won't be something that we'll be hanging on wasting time with during the day.
Another question from chat. Please, can you explain the grabbing and clinching rule / protocol so coaches can understand it better?
If you're in a clinch and you've got your arms, or you're holding the player, especially if you've got your arm hooked up like in a V at the back of the arms, I can't see it there, and you then kick to the back of the head, you will get a gamjung for, it's the grabbing hand signal that you give, and you'll get your points invalidated for kicking to back of head. It's been in quite a while now, and a lot of these coaches that are on this course are experienced coaches, so they should be fine and they should know this.
That's all from the chat at the moment.
If there's any questions that you think of afterwards, if you pop them on an email, and then what we'll do is we'll do a question and answer sheet for any questions that have come in afterwards, like the one that Rick asked about that glasses, that'll go on like the question and answers one, and that'll get published so you can all see it.
Is it possible if Rich from Marketing can please share the slides that you've also presented today, just so everyone's in tune with it for those that have missed today's and Friday's presentation?
Yeah, no, it's fine. We will be circulating them.
Thank you.
Hi, Claire. Sorry, just the last question. I've seen quite a few times at international competitions where players go into the clinch and one player might push out and go to do a crescent to the head, but they get warned for it for grabbing. What is the interpretation? Because clearly some of the times the players are genuinely just pushing out; they're not grabbing. So it just seems that every time, when I'm at international competitions, players who are pushing out of the clinch, they're getting warnings for doing that kind of action, and they're saying that they're grabbing. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, if they push out and they kick, then there should be no gamjung involved. You are allowed a short, sharp push, and that would be what I would class as a push. You've gone into a clinch, you've pushed out, and you've kicked. There should be no gamjung, and your point should stand. That's what they would be told.
Okay, and so for example, if they push out with their fists, so they're not using open hands, they're pushing out with their fists, but their hands still remain on their opponent's body, and they crescent, what would that be deemed as? Because you can't grab with a closed fist.
No, but the clinch is where the body is touching. It's where you've got contact with the body armor. So what I would suggest, and what the easiest way of doing it is, if they're pushing out, just push out and let go of the body armor. Because if you're in a clinch, if you're holding, you've got like a second or so just to let go, where there would be no gamjung. So the best way of doing that is just tell them to push the way out, let go, and then kick.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Claire. It's Eddie Calland again. Sorry about this. It was only a quick one to coincide with what the gentleman just said there. At a couple of competitions, we've seen body to body, people kick into the back of the head with the crescents and still scoring and not being gamjoned. Has everybody been addressed with that criteria to make sure it doesn't happen? I know I discussed it with you last time at the Scorpion competition. It's just that you see it all the time and people aren't getting penalised for it. And then others at internationals, they are getting penalised.
Yeah, they'll all be having a talk. We'll be having the chat on the Saturday morning when all international referees are there, and they will all be told if they're grabbing and kicking to the back at head, they invalidate any points that have scored and they get a gamjung. It's been in the rules for a while now, and yeah, I know we spoke about it. It's something that we doing as practice training, but hopefully we should have it sorted soon, and everybody should be on board.
Sorry, one more question.
Thank you.
There was a time earlier this year at the Ultimate Open in January where my player's opponent's coach asked for a test of the body armor in round 3. So I'm aware that they can request it, but I believe it's a gamjun and they take away the card. The referee should take away the card if it's played in the 2nd or 3rd round. On this occasion, the referee took the card back, gave the coach the card back, and I stood up and I said, "No, you're meant to take the card." I got a gamjun. In that kind of situation, what would you do? Who would step in?
It would normally be the head of court would indicate to them to keep the card. So the head of court would be the one that would communicate with your centre referee. I will make sure that I include that in the briefing on the Saturday morning. You are right. Referee uses their card for the test in the 1st round. 2nd or 3rd, it's the coaches. If there's something wrong with the kit, we swap the kit, you get your card back. If there's nothing wrong with the kit and it's working, then yes, the referee should keep the card. It shouldn't be given back to the coach. But like I say, I'll make sure I include that in the briefing.
I appreciate that. And what would you advise coaches in, say a similar situation arises? Like how would you advise a coach advocates for themselves and their player? How would you suggest we go about it if that wasn't played out?
Well, the thing is with that, it is down to the head of court to manage that court correctly. What you find is coaches will jump up and then they start saying you've not done this, you've not done that, which is why they get the gamjung, which then becomes more frustrating. At the time, I understand it's going to be really frustrating if that happens, but from a coach's perspective, you can't tell a referee what to do because it's classed as misconduct. But it should be the head of court, and like I say, I will make sure that they're all aware.
Okay. Appreciate
and then
that.
I will be walking around during the day watching matches and courts and things. So if it's something that I do spot, I will be having a word with that team or that individual referee just to make sure that everybody's doing the same thing.
Okay. And there was an occasion at the European Championships in the final where a player got kicked in the face, got a standing count, but points didn't go up, and then the coach requested that that he played his card, but then requested that the referee played his card. Are we allowed to do that? Because with a standing count, if the points don't go up, the referee can play their cards to see if that was a valid head kick, and then the points to be awarded. But in this situation, the coach asked for played his card, but kept his card because he asked the referee to play his own card to check. So he didn't put his card at risk. So Are we allowed to do that?
No, because you can't tell a coach to play their card. You can stand up as with all the rules currently. You can stand up and ask for a face kick with your own card. And if there's done a standing count, there must have been contact for it, so it should be accepted when it goes to IVR. Sometimes you see that a referee can't see if the points have gone on if it's a fast match. Sometimes you miss if it's scored or not. But normally, as a rule of thumb, that's back to your head of court as well. If you're doing a standing card count and they've not played the card, normally the head of court would gesture to the referee to play their own card. So you can ask for the face kick, but you can't ask the
because I remember seeing the European Championship final with the coach. He kept his card, even though he played it. The referee came over and said, "No, I want you to play your card." And the referee played his own card, and the coach kept his card. So I didn't know what happened there, but I just wanted some clarification.
Yeah, no. It's normally a head of court that would indicate to your referee to play the card. If he doesn't, then you can play your card and ask for the points for a headshot, but you can't ask a referee to play their card.
Thank you. Thanks.
Sorry, I keep trying to bring it back to the original point of the grabbing part. Just want to ask about that again, because it seems as though the policy that you're trying to implement at nationals is a little bit, or even quite a fair bit stricter than what's typically happening across Europe at G-Class events. If you don't mind just sort of clarifying that a little bit again, please. I'm sorry.
In what respect? As in what, you get a gam jump for grabbing?
That's what you're implying.
Is that what
in G-Class events across Europe, it's a little bit more flexible, like they're grabbing for a little longer, they're doing a little bit more pushing and tugging before they're getting told, okay, Kalio, split up. Whereas what I'm interpreting from what you're saying we see a grab, straight up, gamjang, that's it, split them up, start again. So it just feels that the beating approach is a little bit more stricter.
No, if they're grabbing, like I said, they've got the chance to take their hands off. And if they are because you always wait just to see if there is going to be an exchange of kicks. If they're there and you can see that they're in a clinch and they're doing nothing, start and stop the match. You're only going to get the gamjung if it is you're pulling the suit around, or you're restricting that player. You always see if there is that bit, and if you can see that there's an exchange going on, then they won't get the gamjung, because if they go in a clinch, if they're doing nothing, start and stop the match.
So to avoid some subjectivity, how can we, or how would you be briefing your referees to ensure that it's impartial across every court? Because if you say to someone, take a guess and use your opinion kind of approach, then it's quite subjective. One referee's tolerance might be more or less than the other. So I'm just thinking, for example, if you said a 3-second tussle before which you say, Kalio, then okay. But if you're saying use your brain kind of thing, then there's quite a lot of subjectivity between courts, and then it's going to create a bit of an issue later on.
Yeah, no, I will be clear when I'm giving that guidance. And like I said, as a rule of thumb, the rules say if you're second, Kalio, and restart the match. But you always have that little bit of flexibility. And it sort of comes down to that, if you're going to give them the warning for passivity, it's 3 seconds, you give them the chance to do something, then it's another 3 seconds. So they will be clear on, and they'll all be told exactly the same on the definition of how long they can be in a clinch before you'd start and stop the match, or before you'd warn somebody, because you're only going to give them a warning if you're impeding or you're grabbing.
Yeah, no, that's great.
It'll be consistent through the day. And if it's not, by all means, right, if you come off court and you think that there's an issue with something, please tell me, because if I'm watching another court and I'm not aware of it, I need to be aware of it so I can go and have that discussion and we can make sure that everything's consistent.
Yeah, I think to avoid pulling yourself out of duty, it will probably be nice if you could just sort of brief them like you mentioned, because the last thing that we want to do as a coach is stop a fight, run over across 3 courts to flag you over to raise a concern. We don't want to create that sort of drama on
No.
the play. We just want to sort of make sure that things are ironed out as much as possible through your briefing.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't stop the match. It'd be one of them discussions you'd have the conversation with me after the match.
But that might be the difference between a win and a lose, you see.
I know, which is why I'll be walking around watching all the matches and all the referees.
Thanks.
The refereeing on the Saturday for the advanced will be international referees and established national referees, like as class ones, as experienced ones. On the Sunday, it'll be some of the national ones will get a chance to referee, but on advanced day, it will be experienced referees that are refereeing. So we're trying to keep that consistency there, so everybody's the same. So I will make sure that I have the chat with him. It'll be in the briefing in the morning, so we can make sure that everything is out there.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Just a couple more in the chat. Will there be complimentary teas for coffees? Sadly not. We won't be able to do complimentary teas or coffees for coaches. Apologies to you all. Players with no fights, will they receive a straight gold? And do they come ringside to collect the medal, presumably in full dobok?
Yes, they would. Same as we would anywhere else. We'd call them to court, and then we'd award it and we'd give them the medal. So they'd need to be in the full dobok.
Will the IVR display the whole court?
Yeah, we've got the two cameras are over the 2 corners, and what we've done is we've made sure they're going to go back of where the corner judges sit, because as a referee, you try not to block a corner judge, but then if the IVR is on the opposite corners, it's very hard to know where you're going to be, because we want it so they're all in a side. They should span across all the court, because like I said, we've got 2.
Is the start time the same for Sunday as it is for Saturday?
Yes.
And I take it round times for the children will be the same as the Pee-wee.
Yes. Pee-wees, children and cadets on the advanced days it'll be 1.5, and the same on the Sunday, because everything's 1.5 on a Sunday.
That's all questions.
Claire, just from myself, regards to the random weigh-in, obviously if there is an unfortunate event that someone does get disqualified and that player's gone to go to warm up, gone down the check-in area, what's the process of like being notified if that person has been disqualified, i.e. if it's 101 or 502? How would that athlete know that that person has been disqualified, and what is the process really?
So if somebody doesn't make weight, then that other person would get the bye.
Okay.
So that they get a bye. So on the draw sheets, it'd go out that there's a bye on that one, because the athletes will know straight away. We will know straight away. That's why the weigh-in is early on, because then we can get that information across to OVR, so they can make sure that they change anything and make any amendments.
Perfect. Thank you.
No worries. Is that it?
No questions in the chat.
Well, what I will say then is thank you for attending. And like I say, on the day, if there is anything that you have an issue on your court, please don't have a go at that centre referee or that corner judge. You need to make sure that you either have the conversation with the head of court or come and see me. Because that corner judge or that centre referee, they're not there to be harassed. It's one of those things that a referee has a split second to make a decision. The decisions they make, and we tell them, unless you are 100% sure in what you are doing, you don't give a gamjung. If you're going to give a gamjung and you think, was it, wasn't it, they don't give it. So you only give that warning if you're 100% sure.
One final thing. The media passes. Who have you contacted to ask for media passes?
I've contacted the membership services, but I haven't had a reply.
Okay. We're all in the office tomorrow, so I'll take it up with them.
Okay, great. So shall I drop you an email as well, or shall I just send a reminder email?
Leave it with me, and I'll take it from there.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
No, right. Thank you for attending. So what I'll do is we'll me too. Like I say, if there's any issues, please come and see me. I'd prefer to know straight away so we can make the changes and get things sorted rather than letting things fester and making your day worse. Like Rick says, hopefully it's going to be a good nationals, so we should be fine. And we'll make sure that this gets posted and you'll all get a copy of the presentation as well. And I look forward to seeing you all on Friday. I will be about all the day for weigh-in. I'll be there. So if you've got any questions or anything, just come and find me. I'll probably be mulling around weigh-in, to be quite honest.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone.
No worries. Thank you.
Cheers.